Hey everyone, Fresh here. I know it's been a while since I put a video up, uh, but you know, been busy, started a new job this week. But I also got Fabled Vanquisher of Nullaeus, the Delve solo achievement for being one of the first 4 players or 4,000 players in the NA region to kill the Delve boss solo. So I thought that was pretty cool, and I figure there's still some value in killing this boss solo. You get title, a different title mount, as well as you get extra crests, 30 myth crests and 60 hero crests that don't count towards your cap, so it's also good for player power. So I figured I would just do a quick kind of guide on how I killed Nullaeus as a protection warrior. Obviously, protection warrior is a very good spec against Nullaeus since a lot of his damage is melee attacks. Means warrior's very good at mitigating a lot of that damage with the shield block ability. But let's go ahead and just talk about the talents real quick. So I play Pain and Gain and Field Dressing, just some little bit of extra self-healing to help out with keeping yourself topped off throughout the fight. Also played Second Wind as well. I don't know if you really need to play this or not. The fast footwork might be a little bit better. There maybe even intervene because you could intervene to Valera. Honestly, I don't think it matters. It's maybe just a little bit more preference. But anyways, and then in the kill I did, I was playing Resonant Voice instead of Stance Mastery. Stance Mastery, I think it might be a little bit better just because it's a better, like, if something goes wrong, and that's usually how you'll die in this fight, is like when you don't have a defensive for the Tank Buster. Stance Mastery is better for that. Resonant Voice is better if you feel really confident in the fight. You want to do a little bit more damage because it gives you like an extra, basically global, maybe 2 globals, depending on how the timing works out inside your demoralizing shout. But either way, I think either of these is fine to play. For hero talents, just play Mountain Thane. It's just way stronger than Colossus. No real question there. And then for talents here, just some of the real quick differences. I went for a more defensive option, playing Shield Specialization and Indomitable, just to help out overall with mitigation. That was my biggest concern, was just dying in the fight. And then I play Heavy Repercussions over Into the Fray regardless of what content I'm doing on Warrior, especially at the beginning of a season when you don't have a lot of haste, your gear isn't very good. Heavy Repercussions basically means you have virtual 100% uptime on shield block, and the rage generation is actually not irrelevant either. It makes it so I don't think I need to take Blood Surge, which frees up that talent, which is nice because then you can put extra talent points into other places that will help you out either with your damage or with your mitigation. So, oh, and one final thing, take Battle Scarred Veteran. I think all the Wowhead guides don't have Battle Scarred Veteran. I don't know why. This talent is insane. It's like on a 3-minute internal cooldown, and it's essentially a cheat death, which is very, very, very strong. It's also good if you proc it and you happen to have Impending Victory up, because it essentially turns Impending Victory into a full heal. So yeah, I just play Battle Scarred Veteran. It's really, really strong. It's like one of the best bottom talents essentially for Protection Warrior. So anyway, so those are the talents. Let's go ahead and hop into the fight itself, and I'll break it down and talk about how you want to approach killing Nullaeus as a Protection Warrior. All right, one thing I forgot to talk about was the Valeria setup you want to do for Nullaeus. You want to play her as healer. Reason is twofold. Obviously, one, she'll just keep you topped off whenever she's healing you. And I think my Valera was like level 20-ish when I got the kill, so you don't need to have her that high, just whatever you have. And then for Curios, I played Mantle of Stars, so this is basically like if you drop low, you'll get like an Absorb Shield. And then also they're supposed to take extra damage when this happens. But basically, this is just, I think, a pretty good defensive trinket when you know you're going to be taking a lot of damage, so we played that. And then also the utility Curio, I played Overwhelming Void Spire. You just do extra damage basically after 25 seconds. This is a really long fight, so this buff is going to be up pretty much all the time. It's kind of boring, but it's, I just think, the best. So yeah, so just play healer, play Mantle of Stars, and then play Overflowing Void Spire. That's the setup that I did for Valera. So let's go ahead and get into the kill. All right, let's go ahead and hop into the fight with Nullaeus. Like I said earlier, this is not the actual kill that I got to get Hall of Fame, but I went ahead and just re-recorded a fight of me killing him so I can kind of talk about your approach as a Protection Warrior. So he has three main abilities: Emptiness of the Void, Imploding Strike, and Devouring Essence. Devouring Essence is the easiest to deal with, one, because you can spell reflect it as a warrior, essentially every time it comes up, and two, Valera, when she's a healer, will just immediately dispel it if you do get the dot, so you don't really have to worry about it too much. The other ability he does that's a big tank buster attack is that Imploding Strike. Um, Early on in the fight, as a warrior, especially if you're playing improved stances, you don't, or stance mastery, you don't have to have a defensive up for it every time. As long as you have shield block up and you're keeping your ignore pain stacked up, if he hits you with an Imploding Strike without any defensives, as you can see on some of these attacks, they don't really do that enough damage to really threaten you, and then you can just go pick up Valera orbs or use an Impending Victory to top yourself off. The third ability he does is Emptiness of the Void. This is a big AoE cast. It does a ton of magic damage to everybody, or you and Valera in the room. If you have Battle Scarred Veteran available, you won't die to it. It will proc your Battle Scarred Veteran though. However, if Battle Scarred Veteran is not available and Emptiness of the Void goes off, it'll kill you. Just make sure you interrupt it on cooldown. You should always have Pummel available for it. So Nullaeus has three phases, basically. So phase one is pretty easy. It's just the basic part of the fight. And then at 75%, he'll spawn these two Ravager ads. These ads will do not a lot of melee damage, and they do put a bleed on you with this Jagged Rip. In theory, you can dodge the Rip, and in fact, I think in this kill, I probably should have just used Stone Form, the Dwarf Racial, to clear these. I think I ended up proccing Battle Scarred Veteran, maybe, or maybe I don't. But anyways, it's good if 75% is coming up on Nullaeus to hold, like if you have Avatar and Demoralizing Shout available, it's good to just hold those and use those on the ads. Generally, you want to try and get as much damage on the ads as you can when they're up. And then usually Nullaeus will come back into the fight even with the ads still up. It's not that big a deal. You can tank it. Just be aware also of Nullaeus that he's still going to be casting Emptiness of the Void. He'll still be doing Imploding Strikes on you. So Imploding Strike plus Nullaeus' auto attacks plus the damage from the ads can add up and can make things a little bit dangerous. Just use defensives during that. It's like kind of the more critical part of the fight until you get to the end of the fight. But for the most part, they're pretty easy to deal with as a protection warrior. So once you've killed the ads, you'll just kind of go back to doing normal. The other thing that this ad phase does as well, as you can kind of see, is that now throughout the entire fight, you'll get these kind of void rivers that will kind of, stretch across one section of the room. Basically, just make sure you're not standing in it. If it comes across a section of the room that you're standing in, just move out of it. Pretty straightforward. All right, and then at 50%, he'll do the next set of ads. These are ticks, basically. These are probably the most dangerous ads, I think, out of the three sets. Mostly because they can all put like this stacking dot on you, and you can't clear that dot with Stone Forms. You can't clear it with Dwarf Racial. I don't think you really have any other way to clear it. So the only way you can get rid of it is either A, kill the ads fast enough, or B, using something like a shockwave and leaping away to try and reset the stacks. I don't do it here. I end up proccing Battle Scarred Veteran because when Nullaeus comes back up, I have a bunch of poison stacks and he also hits me. So it does proc Battle Scarred Veteran, but if you can get through this, even using Battle Scarred Veteran with all the ads down, you're going to be okay. You're back into the relatively easy part of the fight with Nullaeus just kind of doing his normal rotation of abilities. And then the new environmental kind of ability that comes up when the ticks spawn is you see that little black orb that's slowly rotating throughout the room. That's going to be there for the rest of the fight. Essentially, that's just like a black hole. It's going to try to pull you in the whole time, so you're just going to be fighting against it with your movement, just pulling away from it as best you can. It makes the fight mildly more annoying, but it's really not that dangerous. So as long as you're just kind of paying attention to where your movement is and everything, it won't be that big a deal. So we're coming up close to phase 3 here. So in phase 3, Nullaeus will spawn basically an Ogre Mage or an Ogre Warlock, I think. And that ad will just essentially spam Shadow Bolts at you the whole time. Now, my heuristic that I kind of developed was I'll just send off a kick real quick on his first Shadow Bolt, get a bunch of damage on him. The other advantage too of using a kick is if you line it up with Avatar and Demoralizing Shout, it's like an extra 5% extra damage for, 10 seconds with a successful interrupt on the mob. But then after that, from here, I won't kick again on the mob. And the reason is because the Shadow Bolts honestly don't really do that much damage to you, but Emptiness of the Void will kill you if the cast goes off. So you can just let the Warlock just do his Shadow Bolt crash or Shadow Bolt cast, move out of Shadow Crash when he casts it, and then just make sure you're always kicking Emptiness of the Void. And then as you can see here, I'm not even targeting the ad. I think in my kill, I might have focused him a bit more to try and kill him quicker. But honestly, I think it's better just to focus Nullaeus and just have the ad just die to your cleave damage. Since the ad is up and you are still taking a little bit of damage from him, it's important to make sure to kind of be really aware of your cooldowns at this point. And also because Nullaeus will be getting a stacking damage buff, so there is a bit of a soft enrage timer with this fight. So now your managing of cooldowns, defensive cooldowns matters quite a bit for each imploding strike. So try to always make sure Demoralizing Shout in particular is always up and active during an imploding strike. Use Shield Wall during imploding strikes as well. Be mindful of if you have Battle Scarred Veteran available or not. Like here for this kill, I know, okay, I have Battle Scarred Veteran available. I actually use Rallying Cry as just like kind of a fairly weak defensive, but just to give me enough health to not, proc Battle Scarred Veteran from that imploding strike because I didn't have Demoralizing Shout, but then Demoralizing Shout came back up. Use Demoralizing Shout on the next imploding strike, and now I have Wall and Battle Scarred Veteran available. So this should pretty much be a home free kill. And that's pretty much the fight. It's honestly really easy, I think, as a protection warrior. You might need one or two attempts just to get a hang of it, but for the most part, because you're so good at preventing auto attack damage and you're really good against just hard hitting melee attacks, protection warrior is one of the easiest specs, I think, to just get the kill on. And so if you need more crests, this is a great way to do it. Thanks again for watching. Go ahead and like and subscribe if you want to see more content like this.